You will drown in eternal night.
This video is a Patreon request for ManWithNoGame45. Thank you once again for your continued support. And to all the others, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about MK Mobile again, more specifically all the gold cards that have been ascended to diamond cards, if that transition was a success, or if I'd rather would have the old gold variation back. So as you can probably imagine, this video will be loaded with personal opinions, and if you cannot take that, then better turn that video off right away. For all the others, well, let's get into it and enjoy the show. So just a quick info at the beginning. I will be doing all these cards now in alphabetical order, so if you're looking for a specific card, it will be easier for you to skip to the right segments. And as you can see, I will also show you all of the passives from transition to transition. Some had 2, some even 3. So in this case, we are starting here now with Cassie Cage, and this was the Punk Cassie Cage variation, where she started off with draining a bar of power from the entire team by her tag-in, slowing the current opponent, and silver teammates receiving plus 15% more health and attack. Then with 2.0 she became a diamond card, still under the name Punk Cassie Cage, even though they already had this weird Strike Force mentioned in the passive. And weird because technically the Strike Force team didn't even exist yet. Those plus 15% health and attack were now only granted for Strike Force teammates, and on top, Strike Force teammates were now immune to lethal and critical hits for 5 seconds, as well as Strike Force characters do 10% more damage versus Ronin characters. As the Strike Force team then finally was put in place, also her variation name changed to Strike Force Cassie Cage. The passive didn't change here at all then ever since, and now the question is, was that a good transition or not? I personally think I would rather have the gold variation back, especially because Punk Cassie Cage back then was a challenge card, and it would be so much easier for people now to unlock her if she were still a challenge and not locked within those horrendous diamond packs with low percentage of drop rates. So the verdict on this one will be please undo. The next card we have here would be Day of the Dead Aaron Black. And the passive here was, when using special attacks, Aaron Black has 30% chance to get it for free, power drain the opponent, and a chance to power drain the entire opposing team, which is still the case now. When defeated, Aaron Black's Ghost has a 30% chance to assist Day of the Dead characters on combo enders and special attacks. Then here with the diamond transition, the chance for special attack used could be upgraded up to 40%, and also Aaron Black's Ghost could have like a 50% chance to assist Day of the Dead characters, and on top the dodge chance for assassin characters is reduced by 10%. I mean, okay, that is pretty useless if you ask me. And on top, this is the same situation as already with Punk Cassie Cage. He was a challenge card, easy to obtain. Now he's locked behind a small percentage, so please undo. Then we have Nightmare Freddy Krueger, the only original Nightmare character, if you will, and this one was quite interesting. But first let's have a look at the passive. One of Freddy's opponents is in a nightmare. Freddy does nightmarish damage to that opponent, and NetherRealm teammates gain plus 10% critical hit chance on basic attacks. Now the interesting part here is that At some point down the line, his design was changed because the gold card, as you can see here, had the design of the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street, so basically played by actor Jackie Earle Haley. But obviously, there is only one true Freddy Krueger, and that one should always be played by Robert Englund and nobody else. Something which obviously the MP Mobile team agreed on, and now, the way we know him now, he has the Robert Englund version. And here as the diamond, he now has up to 50% chance for lethal damage, and also we have the fact that if he has two Nightmare teammates, he can trap an additional opponent in the Nightmare, of course, dealing more damage to that one. The rest of the passive remains. And also the fact that he is no longer a challenge card, which makes it easy. Please undo. Next we have Assassin Jade. Jade has the chance to dodge any special attack or combo ender, after which she retaliates with an unblockable, crippling attack. Jade's teammates can tag in at a much faster rate. As Assassin Jade then became a diamond card, then of course there was a percentage on the evasion chance, and that one went up by up to 40%, even though before there was actually no percentage, so she always had this very high chance of evading, and technically I think it feels like the gold card was evading actually more than the diamond does. And then as a bonus we have Assassins do 10% more damage versus Circle of Shadow. Unfortunately the part with tagging in at a faster rate was removed, which is quite a bummer. But then again we have the same issue here. Jade was a challenge character and now she is no more, so please undo. Next on the list is Day of the Dead Jade. After using Evocation Special Attack 2, Jade gains a Ghost Shield that reflects all damage at the attacking enemy for 5 seconds. Some of the power Jade gains from combat also is given to Day of the Dead teammates. Now after she became a diamond, she was able to also give that Ghost Shield to tagging in Day of the Dead characters, also for 5 seconds, and opponent assassin characters have dodge chance reduced by 10%, which is the same thing as with Day of the Dead Aaron Black, and here in that case I would also say that diamond transition was not really necessary. She was just fine as a challenge gold card, and therefore please undo. Then we have another Jade on the list, and this time it's MK11 Jade. MK11 Jade has a chance to dodge basic attacks, leaving the opponent slowed and open to counterattack for a brief time. MK11 teammates are healed by fire, bleed and poison. Now Jade was technically not a challenge card, but she was available in trials at first until the trial mode completely failed due to countless bugs, so they basically set her up as a challenge so that people who have not been able to complete the trials had a chance to obtain her that way. And then later she turned also into diamond, and here we have now a percentage on the dodge chance. And aside from the 4th slot 4 gear, basically nothing really has changed, not even the stats have changed significantly at all. Going even further, that it was actually quite cool to have some good strong MK11 gold cards, so please undo. Next up we have Relentless Jason Voorhees. Jason has a chance to evade all special attacks. After evading, Jason will attack and stun his opponent. All of Jason's teammates will have a chance of having an unblockable special too. Now Relentless Jason Voorhees was yet another one who was basically chosen with the update 2.0 to become a diamond card. also still under the variation name Relentless Jason Voorhees, and here passive wise we can see the same thing that we saw right at the beginning with Cassie Cage already, that they already spoke about the Nightmare team even though it was not even in place yet, but it was already an indicator of things to come, because very soon after that he became Nightmare Jason Voorhees and joined Nightmare Freddy Krueger in the horror team. Now the evasion chance was given a percentage, and technically he was actually better as a gold card, because with the gold variation the first special attack was definitely evaded no matter what, so there was a 100% chance you could tag Jason in case it was needed, and you could be sure that he will evade that one. That was no longer the case after he became a diamond, and that he gives that unblockable special to his Nightmare teammates. It may be a nice addition, sure, but was it really necessary to make him diamond for that? I don't think so. Please undo. Next up we have Revenant Jax Briggs. It was plain and simple. Jax and his team gained 50% health for every Netherrealm card on the team. As he became a diamond character, then suddenly, after using any special attack, there is 50% chance Revenant Jax gains invulnerability for 4 seconds. Jax and his team gain plus 15% health for every Circle of Shadow character on the team. Circle of Shadow characters do 10% more damage versus Strike Force characters. So here again we see they are speaking of the Circle of Shadow team without the Circle of Shadow team even existing. This passive then basically stayed the same as he transitioned over to Circle of Shadow, but then he also got another buff, and here we have that invulnerability factor when he either takes a special attack or performs a special attack himself, so it goes both ways, and also the stats have been a little bit buffed up so that he can withstand a little longer in the match, which was actually quite welcome from my side here. And surprise, surprise, I am really happy with this change, so this one is an absolute pass. Jax had a great transition from gold to diamond. The next one in line is Undead Hunter Johnny Cage. Johnny does plus 30% damage versus Netherrealm. If an opponent resurrects, Johnny instantly gains 50% power, and that is probably spelled a little weird, because actually it was 1.5 bars of power for each resurrection. After the transition from gold to diamonds, then there was this extra feature that the damage increases the more the health bar goes down. Also, the extra damage versus Netherrealm characters is now shared with all Strike Force teammates, and once again here we have Strike Force team existing before Strike Force team existed. And on top we have the Strike Force characters do 10% more damage versus Ronin characters. Then with the Strike Force team in place, he got his variation name, Strike Force Johnny Cage. And unfortunately, we have another issue here. This guy was a challenge character, and because of that, he's now no longer obtainable that easy, and that should be a no-go. He was one of the greatest cards and easy to get, and therefore, please undo. Then we have MK11 Cabal. When MK11 Cabal attacks in, he gains speed increase and stuns the opponent with his dash. When an MK11 teammate is stunned, Cabal will attempt to stun the opponent and remove stun from his teammate. When an MK11 teammate is defeated, Cabal will tag in and, if unblocked, will perform his Fatal Blow attack. Now MK11 Cabal was another one of the 3 gold MK11 cards that we got in the game, and then with the transition to Diamond, the only thing that basically changed is that his speed increase would last for up to 12 seconds. The rest is the same, the stats were pretty much the same, they just slapped that diamond frame on that card. and gave him a 4th gear slot, and that's about it. Just like with MK11 Jade, it was very sloppy and uninspired, and therefore the only verdict that I can come up with is please undo. Moving on to one of the cards that until today splits the community's opinion, and that is Cutthroat Kano, with this amazing passive that Cutthroat Kano costs less than other gold cards. And that was actually not a bad thing if you think about it, because he was available for only less than 100,000 coins, which means that new players had the opportunity to max one gold card out, which would be then useful to help them with challenges. In fact, it actually was the same way for me as I started playing. Cutthroat Kano was the first maxed out at Fusion 7 card, and basically did all my challenges for the first few runs. But then came the Diamond transition, still under the variation name Cutthroat Kano, and here we already had the Black Dragon mention again, also giving him the buff that he now could weaken and cripple on combo ender, which was a very good thing for him because, let's face it, as a gold card he was nothing special at all. The only thing that he was good for was challenges, and now he actually was a serious fighter. And basically they also gave him the function that Master of Souls Ermac has just now here with his Black Dragon teammates, with 1 bar of power for each teammate. Of course, then switching the variation name with the transition to Black Dragon Kano, whilst the passive here still stayed the same, even though now he's got another buff, not in terms of passive, but now with a special one attack that also applies stun. The question is, was that done intentionally or was that a mistake? They didn't mention it in the release notes so far yet, so it's actually possible that they might take that one back, but it makes him so much better once more. And again, the verdict here is absolute pass. Continuing here with Ronin Kenshi, plus 30% attack versus martial artists. Upon successful block of a special attack for 2 seconds, Kenshi is unblockable and auto crits. That was a very simple passive, and now with the transition to Diamond, basically not much has changed all that much. He has the unblockable now for up to 4 seconds. The 30% attack are still intact. Just now with every Ronin teammate this increases. And 10% more damage versus Cold War characters. We can make this short, he was a challenge character, please undo. Then we have Assassin Kitana, ambushes opponent on tag-in with vicious stabs causing bleed. Kitana also generates 20% more power, and that as a gold card. She actually was an exclusive gold card in the gold pack. Now with the transition to Diamond, she is part of the Assassin team and therefore has the evade chance granted by Assassin Jade. And then we have the bleed, which can last up to 15 seconds. And assassin characters generate up to 30% more power. Assassin Kitana is immune to critical hits, and assassins do 10% more damage versus Circle of Shadow. The problem with her, she turned from a not very interesting gold card into one of the worst diamonds we have in the game. I'm absolutely not a fan of the Assassin Kitana variation. It was fine as she was a gold card, but now as a diamond she's disappointing. Please undo. Next in line is Dark Empress Kitana. After defeating an opponent, Kitana enslaves the victim to fight for her once per match. The enslaved does not possess a passive ability or equipment. Bosses are immune. Now here we have yet another challenged gold card that was ascended to Diamond. So first she of course kept her Dark Empress name or variation name, Before then, the Circle of Shadow team came into place, then she turned into Circle of Shadow Kitana. Now she's basically able to enslave 2 opponents once she is a part of a full Circle of Shadow team. That Circle of Shadow characters are immune to fear is quite useless anyway. Circle of Shadow characters do 10% more damage versus Strike Force characters, which is also not interesting at all. She was a challenge card, and I think way better for that, so please undo. And another Kitana variation, which is Day of the Dead Kitana. On enemy resurrection and when anyone is defeated in the match, Kitana and team members that are Outworlders receive health regeneration for 5 seconds. Now with the Diamond transition, the main thing that basically changed is that opponent characters also have dodge chance reduced by 10%, just like her other 2 teammates, and since we don't want to split up a good gold Day of the Dead team, let's have this gold challenge character back, and therefore please undo. Next Kitana in line, here we have Ronin Kitana plus 30% attack versus Outworld characters. All Ronin characters on the team gain plus 10% critical hit chance for each Ronin character on team. So here we have another one that hasn't really changed that much as she transitioned to Diamond. The attack versus Outworld increases now with every Ronin in the team. Then the critical hit chance for Ronin characters in the team goes up to 20%. And aside from that, Ronin characters do 10% more damage versus Cold War characters, also kind of useless. She was a good challenge card, nothing wrong with her, please undo. Oh boy, now we reached one that really grinds my gear. Here we have Revenant Kung Lao. All Netherrealm teammates start combat with +1 bar of power. A very neat, nice, useful passive. Then they turned him into Diamond, and first of course they kept the Revenant, already mentioned the Circle of Shadow thing, and then as he became a Circle of Shadow character, his variation name changed to Circle of Shadow Kung Lao, and of course he is one of the best diamonds that we have in the game, but there is one significant problem. The bar of power is now only granted to Circle of Shadow teammates, and granted those are 6 people in just one tier, but on the other hand it was so much better just to have that bar of power for every Netherrealm character. It's actually great that he has now also the chance to get special attacks for free, pretty much just like Day of the Dead Aaron Black, so that is actually a cool change. But on the other hand, I'm really missing that 1 bar of power, especially now for the Circle of Shadow. He gives 1.5 bars of power. They just could have kept that he grants those 1.5 to Circle of Shadow, and still that regular 1 bar of power to every other Netherrealm character, but this way they have taken that away, and I as a main Netherrealm player feel really betrayed, because all the others still have kept theirs. Like Outworld has Mournful Kitana, Spec Ops has Balanced Kenshi, Martial Artists have Shaolin Kung Jin and Hellspawn Scorpion, and Netherrealm now only can play within the Circle of Shadow team to have that benefit. I'm absolutely not on board for that. On top, we lost another very great challenge gold card, so please undo. Then we have Pretty Lady Leatherface. After performing or being attacked with the combo ender, Leatherface has a 50% chance to become enraged. 300% damage boost for 5 seconds. Whenever a teammate stuns an opponent, there's a 30% chance Leatherface will assist. Then, as before, the Pretty Lady variation was kept. Then the Enraged was lasting up to 6 seconds. And then also we have up to 50% chance that he will interfere when one of the opponents is stunned. He of course joined the Nightmare team. And for those who still remember, we only had the gold variation of Pretty Lady Leatherface for a single update. After 1.21, 2.0 dropped, and with that the transition to Diamond. He was a challenge card before, and since he is still one of the worst Diamond cards in the game, if not the worst as some might claim, there is actually no reason for him to be Diamond at all. Let's keep him a challenge card. Please undo. Then we have Dark Emperor Liu Kang. When Liu Kang starts a match, he has 100% critical chance and his opponent is stunned for 3 seconds. In Faction Wars, 25% chance for lethal blow, which equals plus 250% damage. Now with this one it was actually quite sad because he was a part of the Faction War store, available for 1,600 blood rubies I think, and therefore kind of easy to max. And now with the diamond transition, first to Dark Emperor Liu Kang as a diamond and then later Circle of Shadow Liu Kang, he is so hard to obtain nowadays that it's actually a shame. Sure, it is great that he can heal himself and his team now by simply dealing damage to his opponents, but basically if you have a hard time obtaining him in the first place, that doesn't really help you out much at all, and it would have been so much better to just keep him in the Faction War store, available for everybody. So no matter how much I like him even as a diamond, please undo. Next up, Tournament Quan Chi. Quan Chi can reflect damage from first 3 special attacks back at the opponent. On tagging, team members are granted vampirism on unblocked attacks for 10 seconds. Now this one was another challenge gold card and transitioned also to the tournament variation as a diamond, and then later joined the Circle of Shadow team. One thing that is absolutely great is that now his basic attacks are having this natural block breaker, and I also like that the vampirism now lasts for up to 20 seconds. But once again we lost a very great challenge card and therefore please undo. Then we have MK11 Raiden, chance to stun the opponent on successful combo ender. When MK11 Raiden performs 3 combo enders, he disables the opponent's combo enders for the entire match. MK11 teammates are immune to power drain. Now I remember at the very beginning of his release it took actually 5 combo enders, but they removed 2 of those to kind of make it a little bit easier to get to that crushing blow to disable the combo enders of the opponents. And MK11 Raiden also was yet another one who had this problem with this bugged trial mode, which then led to him having at least an Elder challenge so people could obtain him. Then the Diamond transition came and he became this Diamond MK11 card. He got a few buffs down the line, but all in all I would say still he was just fine as a gold card, meaning mainly that they also could have buffed up his special 1 attack, as he was still a gold card. He didn't need to be diamond for that. So long story short, please undo. Then we have Cold War Scorpion achieving 80% plus on Flame Shield, which is special 2, applies Fire DOT to the entire enemy team. That was basically his entire passive until they then transitioned him to Diamond. His Fire DOT now lasts up to 9 seconds. Other Cold War team members apply Fire DOT when they reach 90% plus on special attack 2, and Cold War characters do 10% more damage versus Day of the Dead characters. The only really useful change is that he is immune to fire himself, but let's be honest, he was a great challenge gold card. Please undo. Then we have another fan favorite with Spec Ops Scorpion. Scorpion saves each teammate from one death blow, then counterattacks the opponent. Spec Ops teammates steal power on tag-in. Now with this one, it was always quite difficult to obtain him. He was basically just available in his own Spec Ops Scorpion pack, and then with the diamond transition to Spec Ops Scorpion first and then later Strike Force Scorpion, he was able to save his Strike Force teammates twice. On top, saved teammates recover up to 15% of their health and some extra damage versus Ronin characters. And now this might be a little bit weird, because I actually don't care about the damage to Ronin characters or that they recover a little bit of their health once they are saved. But I find, like, as a diamond, he actually won a lot, even though he unfortunately lost that function that at least all other Spec Ops power drain a little bit on tag-in. But on the other hand, that was not that much of power drain, to be honest. So in this case, I would say that is a very solid transition to diamond. I absolutely don't mind that he's no longer gold, so this one is a pass. Then with Cold War Sonya Blade we have plus 30% attack versus Outworld. Each team member starts encased in an ice armor that reduces incoming damage of a single special or X-ray attack. And to say it quite frankly, it was a very amazing feature, because that ice shield was not bound to like a limitation in terms of time. Every character that you put in a team with her had this ice shield, and it lasted until a special or X-ray attack was able to break that shield. This passive was literally the reason why she was almost on every team back then. If you remember, if you played Faction Wars in these days of the good old pre-2.0 era, then you have encountered countless Cold War Sonya Blades just because of that ice shield. She was also the reason why the special 2s of Heavy Weapons Jax and Kobujutsu Tanya were so useful, because since they were dealing damage to the entire team, they were able to break that ice shield even on tagged out characters. So they had a serious purpose to deal with the passive of Cold War Sonya Blade. Now that she transitioned to Diamond, you hardly see anyone play her anymore, unless maybe she's really part of a full Cold War team. But just adding her for the fun of it is very, very rare to spot nowadays. She also was a challenge gold card, and therefore there can only be one verdict, and especially for her, undo. With Revenant Sub-Zero, we had Sub-Zero and his team gain plus 12% attack for every Netherrealm card on the team. He, of course, then became the Diamond version of Revenant Sub-Zero, before he then joined the Circle of Shadow team. Now with this transition, it was only him gaining that extra attack damage for every Circle of Shadow teammate he had in his team. Then you also had up to 15% chance of lethal blows, which is actually massive. And also Circle of Shadow characters do 10% more damage versus Strike Force characters. And just like Revenant Jax Briggs, he also got a few buffs down the line, and I can only say this one was a very successful one, so he gets a pass. The next Sub-Zero would be Cold War Sub-Zero, increases team's power generation and decreases opponent's team power generation for each Cold War member, plus 50% critical damage against enemies affected by freeze. Now this one was another challenge gold character who ever since his release had this weird thing that his special 2 is just so hard to push up, something that hasn't changed ever since. But now with the Diamond transition, He basically shares now his passive with other Cold War teammates in terms of power generation and decrease. Then we also have plus 50% critical damage against enemies affected by frostbite instead of freeze, something they added with the diamond variation. It's actually a nice change. I liked that he really finally got a frostbite effect as well. And then that extra damage to Day of the Dead characters. Once again, I absolutely don't care. And you probably guessed it, as a former challenge gold card, we just go for Please Undo. And the final one on the list is Ronin Takeda, and he has plus 30% attack versus Spec Ops characters. All Ronin characters gain plus 25% critical damage for each Ronin character on the team. He also was a challenge gold character and then became the Ronin variation just as a diamond. Then the Ronin teammates gained up to 30% critical damage for each Ronin character on the team, plus 30% attack versus Spec Ops character for every Ronin in the team, and Ronin characters do 10% more damage versus Cold War, and here again the damage versus Cold War doesn't matter to me at all. In fact, this entire character was never interesting to me at all, so he was just fine as a challenge gold character. I didn't mind fusing him that way, but now him being in one of those drop rate packs for 3%, it's not even worth spending souls on that guy, so very strong Please Undo. But yeah, there you have it. Those were all the gold cards who became diamonds later on. And as you can see, I'm absolutely against anything that took away challenge cards to make them diamonds, simply because they were easier to obtain via challenges. They took away a lot of really interesting and good challenges for people to unlock, and instead now hiding them behind ridiculous drop rates. So in most cases, I'm not happy with the diamond transition at all, and of course I am totally aware that brutalities are fun and all that, but in my opinion they could just make that available for gold cards and diamond cards alike, maybe even silver and bronze, who the hell cares, and maybe just even take away all the diamonds and only leave the diamond slot to classic characters, send every classic character to diamond, and maybe give those guys a fatality down the road. This way we would only have one variation of each character that can become diamond, because there is then only one classic. That classic would have then the opportunity to finally perform a fatality. Everybody else still can, of course, perform the brutality, and of course there are so many of these diamonds who are amazing. I love Day of the Dead, Aaron Black, I love the Circle of Shadow Kung Lao and Liu Kang and all those. I'm not saying that they are bad diamonds, at least not all of them, some of them are, but in general I don't like that they actually became diamond, and I would rather keep the gold card just the way it was, instead of having now to deal with the drop rates instead. Thank you for tuning in once again. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe. In case you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button twice just to make sure. And if you want to support the channel a little further, please consider joining the Patreon family of KC Mobile Gaming. You can already do that with as little as just $1 a month. And also follow me on social media like Twitter and Facebook. You will find all the necessary information in the description below of every video. If you want to see more content, then why don't you just click on one of those two videos here. Thank you for your support. Have a good one. KC over and out for today.